Welcome back. This is Professor Phil Snyder, and in this Adobe Animate CC tutorial we're going to do a 2D walk cycle using a character I created called Walkman. He's pretty generic, and as a matter of fact, if you want to make some changes in him and use him for your project, you're certainly welcome to. I retain no copyright licensing or charge no licensing on that, and in fact, like I say, I encourage you to make whatever modifications you might want to make and make it your own. That being said, let's go ahead and get started. Open up the walkcycle_start.fla and we'll get going on this. Once you get it open, let's go ahead and save this and rename the file. File, save as, and navigate to wherever you've got it. And instead of start, let's just call this working. That way, if we do want to go back and start again or share the basic file, then you can do that. All right, now let's take a look. You should be pretty familiar with the interface. First of all, let's go over here and fit into the window. We're going to leave the size at the default of 550 by 440. And let's take a look at what assets we already have here. And as I said, I've already made them so you can use them. I'm arrowing down through what we've got. So we've got the separate components, the separate parts: arm left lower, arm left upper, arm right lower, arm right upper, left arm whole, which is what we're going to be using in this tutorial, and arm right whole, and then separate hands left and right, and then the body, that's the upper body essentially, the shirt. And we have the head and other parts here. We have the eyes, and we have the head here with the hair, nose, and ear, and then the head complete with the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and then just the mouth. So if you want to do some work with this beyond what we're doing with the walk cycle, you're welcome to. And then we have the legs separate. We have a knee, which can cover both the left knee and the right knee. And what the purpose of that is so that we cover up the joints between the knee, which kind of open up, and we want to keep it, fairly believable. And then we have leg left lower, leg left upper, leg right lower, leg right upper, shoe, and shoe. And I have left shoe and right shoe, but they're identical, and which is the same with the knee, left and right knee. But again, you might want to change them a little bit or something. All right, so let's get started. We're going to bring these parts in separately. And let's take a look at the way we want this to appear. This is the man complete, and then I'm going to publish it, and we'll see that's how he looks going through the walk cycle. And so you've got a full walk cycle from one extreme to the other, and you've got his head bobbing a little bit. So that's what we're going for on this. And if we open this up, you can see we have the walking man in his own nested position, and we have all these different layers with their tweened animation. These are classic tweens I'm using, and so each one of these parts of the body have their different animations. So that's what we're going for. Let's go ahead and start building it. Let's create a new symbol, and we're going to name this Walking Man, and this is just like I showed you, and we'll leave it as a graphic. So we're going to go ahead and create 11 more layers, because that's how many layers we need for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we're going to be moving these around and of course renaming them. So let's start off with layer 1, and that we'll just use for the body. And layer 2, let's do arm left. Layer 3, arm right. Layer 4, leg up left. Leg up right. Leg low left. Leg low right. Shoe left. Shoe right. Head, knee left, and knee right. And like I said, we are going to be moving these around depending on what order we need to have them in. So let's start off with the body and lock off all the other ones. And let's bring the body in, put it right here, right at where the center is, and let's scoot in on that a little bit. And let's lock that off. And then let's do select and unlock and bring in arm left whole. Now, as I showed you before, we have the arm components separate, including the hand, but which are good if you're going to have secondary movement, you know, bending the arm and swinging the hand a little bit, but we're just going to keep this part of it simple. So we're going to use the whole arm. And so this is arm left whole. Let's bring that in. That would be left, so that's on his left side. And that's roughly where it's going to be, but we'll tweak it later. And then lock that one off. And then arm right whole. Let's bring that one in. And he's going to be oriented a little bit towards us, so that's why we've got him. He's kind of turned at maybe a 3/4 face. All right, lock that one off. And then unlock leg upper left. Let's move this up so we got a little better look at it. And let's close that folder. Leg left upper. That'll be right about there, roughly. And lock that off. Leg right upper or upper right. Lock that off. Leg left lower. That goes right about there. Lock that off. Leg right lower. That goes here. Shoe left. And shoe right. Head. We're going to do the head complete. And he has no neck. This guy is a no neck dude. And after that, we got the left knee. And finally, the right knee. Now, aren't you glad I had these already made for you? Okay, so let's start getting these into position and start animating. Now, we're going to keep this at 12 frames per second. And so we're only going to use 12 frames. We're going to do the whole walk cycle in 1 second. If you can't see this 12 frames per second, just click on the stage and it'll show up in the properties panel. if you haven't already, zoom in on your timeline so that you can get a good look at it. And here at 1 second, let's click and drag all the way down. Only click once, just click and drag. And then we're going to enter a blank keyframe there. Since we're going to end up very close to the same position at 1 second as we are at the beginning, let's click and drag all those keyframes and right click on it and copy frames, and then select all these and paste frames. Okay, and let's select them all and right click and create classic tween. Okay, now of course there's no animation here. We're going to insert the animation, and let's begin doing that now. Let's start with the right arm, which we want to go opposite of the right leg, which is forward. So select frame 6 on the arm layer and insert keyframe F6, and let's rotate that back to right about the same angle as the other one, and let's see what happens there. There we go. That's a nice, and then it swings back. Okay, let's do that same operation for the left arm. F6, and let's rotate that the opposite way. So we've got, now we got the arms animated. So let's put the left arm behind the body and lock it off. Now let's concentrate on animating the legs. Let's select and insert keyframes for all the parts of the right leg. So beginning with the right shoe, then command key and right knee, command key and click the lower right leg, and holding down the command key, click the leg upper right, and press F6, and that inserts keyframes at all 3 of those. Alright, so let's unlock and let's select those, the right leg, all of it, including the knee, and let's move that pivot point up and rotate it to the extreme at a similar angle to the left leg. And I'll bring it forward just a little bit too. Cheat a little bit. Let's scrub through and see that we have an animation there. And you can see it's kind of going up in the middle. We're going to have to tweak that anyway because we need to bend it, bend the leg at the knee. But that's a good start to get our general rough out. Alright, we're going to do the same with the left leg. So let's go in at frame 6 and select the left knee and the lower left leg, left shoe, and the left upper leg. Insert keyframe, and let's move that pivot point and rotate that back. And again, we're going to tweak, just arrow it back a little bit further to kind of cheat. And we see that knee's got to go back a layer. Let's do that now that we're thinking of it. Alright, so let's scrub through and then see what we've got here. Alright. a real rough walk cycle. We need to now tweak everything in between at frame 3. Now since the right leg is back, when it comes forward we need to bend it at about frame 3 and carrying through to frame 4 a little bit, but we'll start with frame 3. So let's lock them all off and unlock just the right leg stuff. Okay. And let's put in some keyframes there on those. And we're going to go into these parts individually and tweak them. So the thigh is pretty good position. So let's zoom in on those and select the lower leg and the foot, and we want to rotate those, and let's move the pivot point up to about the knee and rotate that. And then let's also move that knee down to kind of cover up the stuff there. And we're gonna not worry about this line at this point. And then let's select the whole thing and let's move it up. Let's kind of walk through this, no pun intended. Alright, so we may need to add another keyframe at frame 4 just to tweak this. But let's go ahead now and at frame 4 let's position the left leg. It should be down further. So let's lock those off and then unlock the left leg components. And let's select those. Insert a keyframe. And we want to move those all downward. Give the sensation of raising his body up, and then that makes this left leg as it's bending and going up a little bit more believable. So let's select the shoe and the lower leg. Let's bring those down a little bit. And the knee's in pretty good position. I think we could probably go back here a little bit with the lower leg. Alright, and then scrubbing through. And don't forget to save on a regular basis. And we want to do the opposite here at keyframe 8. At frame 8, let's add the frames there. Since we got the left leg components unlocked, let's go ahead and work on those first. So on frame 8, let's select the knee, lower leg, shoe, and upper leg. Insert keyframes. And since the left leg is now going forward, we need to have that bending. So let's select all those components. Let's bring them upward a little bit. Now we need to bend the leg. So let's select the lower leg and the shoe and move that pivot point up to the knee and rotate it. Then let's select the thigh, upper leg, and the knee. And let's move those up, and then let's position that kneecap a little better. Okay, so scrubbing through, we got some little anomalies showing up, but we'll take care of those later. So we need to tweak the right leg. Insert keyframe. And the right leg is basically just passing from front to back at this point. But let's kind of straighten it out so that the shoe is flat on the ground. And let's scrub through. It's looking pretty good at this point. And again, he's kind of facing us at a 1/4 turn to his left, so he's not a complete profile, and that's why these legs are not opposite at the halfway extreme here. Let's go through this and do whatever tweaking we need to do. Let's move the body in front of the legs. We'll also have to move the right arm to make sure that it's in the very front. So there we go, and then right arm, that goes in front of the body. And let's see how much better that looks. Alright, still got some anomalies there showing up. So that's the lower leg is showing up partially in front of the upper leg. Let's check that. Lower leg. Yeah, so let's bring that down below. Alright. And we got something there from the, let's see, what is that? That's the kneecap. So the left knee needs to go down below the upper right. Okay. Alright. So let's just do a little tweaking here to make it look visually believable. I think that's pretty okay. We can do this frame by frame. We have the basic animation set, except for the head. Let's go ahead and go back into scene 1 and fit in window, and let's take the walking man into the scene from the library. Now let's add our frames up to 1 second. F5 for a blank keyframe, and then let's scrub through, see that it's there, and let's publish it, see what it looks like. See how he kind of hesitates there halfway through? That's because he's coming back to the exact same position, and it's only 12 frames per second, so we have 2/12 of it in the same position. So we need to tweak it to move him just a little bit. And we can also tweak the positions of the legs to make them look better. So let's do that. Alright, so go back into the edit mode for the walking man and select the right arm and Q, and let's bring that, rotate that back just a little bit so it doesn't hesitate so long at that position. And same with the left arm. Let's rotate that back a little bit. Let's go ahead and animate the head too while we're at it. So halfway there, the head should be rotated back a little bit. So click on frame 3, insert a keyframe, select it, rotate it back a little bit. Right click on that keyframe, copy it, and let's paste it at frame 8. And then let's copy the first frame and paste it at frame 6 so that when we scrub through, he's bobbing through the cycle twice. Alright, now we want to do the legs. So go to frame 12. Let's do the right leg first. Let's move this leg up to be with the other. Alright. And let's click and drag all 4 of those right leg components. And let's move that pivot point up. And let's rotate it back just a little bit. Okay, lock those off. And let's do the same thing for the left leg. Move the pivot point. Let's rotate it back just a little bit. And let's go back into scene 1 and let's see how this looks now. And let's publish it. I think we could probably move the left leg back a little bit further, but it's pretty good. Go back in the walking man. We've got the whole left leg still selected. Let's just move the whole thing back, arrowing back. And let's see how that looks. That's smoother. And let's just do a little more tweaking visually in between. We'll have to add keyframes to do that. But depending on how accurate you want it, you can do that. That's the left leg lower. Let's select there and add a keyframe. And let's move that down to the let's move that to the left a little bit. And sometimes, if you need to, you can scale something up a little bit. To make it match. Now, since the right leg is in front, it does bother me a little bit. So let's play around with that. Let's unlock the right leg stuff, and let's add a keyframe in all those right leg things. We may really only need to move one part, but it doesn't hurt to add a keyframe here and there. So let's move that back. Let's zoom in on it. We can even scale it up a little bit, like I said, to match a little better. That's looking good. Move that knee a little bit. Save. Let's go back to scene 1. Fit in window. And let's publish it. One other thing I want to do to make this look more organic or natural is to have the upper body move up during the passing of the legs, because that's what happens when you walk. So that would be at this passing position and also at this passing position. So let's go there to frame 3 and let's unlock all of them. First, let's add a keyframe for the right arm. Select that frame, press F6, and then for the body, let's also add a keyframe there. because in order to move it we have to have a keyframe. So now let's select the head and the right arm, and since those are the only things that are going to go up, now let's just arrow up just about 3 or 4 steps, and then we've got that sensation of going up and down. Now we can copy those keyframes for the other passing position. Select the head, Command, select the arm right and the body, and right click on it, copy frames, and then select and drag and paste frames. There we go. And so now let's publish it, and that looks better because he's going up. And with that, we are at the end of our human walk cycle in Adobe Animate CC. So, see you next time.